President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and Jordanian King Abdullah II discussed the military escalation in Gaza and bilateral ties during their summit talks in Cairo on Thursday.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held summit talks with Jordanian King Abdullah II in Cairo on Thursday. The two leaders discussed the ongoing Israeli aggression and military escalation in Gaza, as well as means of boosting bilateral relations in various domains with the aim of realizing the two peoples' interests. During their meeting, the two leaders affirmed the rejection of targeting Palestinian civilians or forcibly displacing them from their lands to Egypt or Jordan. President Sisi and the Jordanian monarch warned of the danger of displacement calls on regional security. They further warned of the deterioration in humanitarian and security situation in the Gaza Strip, as well as the killing and injury of thousands of innocent Palestinian civilians. President Sisi and King Abdullah II stressed on the need for continued humanitarian access in a sustainable manner. The two heads of state affirmed that achieving real, just and comprehensive peace and stability depends on giving Palestinians their legitimate rights for an independent state with Jerusalem as its capital in accordance with the international resolutions and legitimacy with the aim of attaining peace and security for the whole region. In this respect, they reviewed the two countries' continuous efforts to push forward negotiations and calm the escalation in the situation.
And President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received Lieutenant General Michael Corella, the commander of the U.S. Central Command. The two sides stressed their keenness to strengthen the partnership between Egypt and the U.S., as well as intensifying existing cooperation and coordination in various fields, especially military and security. They also reviewed a number of issues of common interest, especially the developments in the situation in Gaza Strip. The President reviewed efforts to reduce the escalation, stressing the significance of concerted efforts of the international community to push towards containing the crisis and shifting to the approach of reviving the peace path based on the solution of the two states. Warning of the danger of security consequences of this conflict on the entire region, President el-Sisi stressed the significance of continuing delivering the humanitarian aid to the Palestinian people in Gaza as a top priority, of course. The Parliament held an emergency session during which it condemned the strongest terms the Israeli aggression against Gaza. Members of the Parliament reiterated that there was no complacency in giving up on an inch of Sinai land. They also completely rejected a Palestinian displacement. The Parliament members declared they unanimously delegate President el-Sisi to take all necessary and appropriate measures to protect the national security and support the Palestinian people. And Chinese President Xi Jinping told visiting Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli on Thursday that Beijing hoped to work with Egypt to bring more stability to the Middle East. The Chinese leader repeated China's support for a two-state solution. He asserted that China and Egypt are good friends who share the same goals and trust each other, and good partners who work hand in hand for development and common prosperity. Xi said Beijing appreciates the important role played by Egypt in de-escalating the situation in Gaza. He further expressed his support to Egypt's efforts to open humanitarian corridors to allow relief aid to Palestinians. And Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry held talks with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in Cairo on Thursday to review the deteriorating humanitarian situation inside the Gaza Strip. During a joint press conference following their talks, Minister Shoukry said the two sides had agreed on the importance of reaching a ceasefire in Gaza. They also stressed the significance of establishing a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. The top diplomat said the upcoming summit in Cairo on Saturday, called by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, would focus on reaching a consensus with international and humanitarian principles to de-escalate the violence in Gaza, reach a ceasefire, and allow humanitarian aid to flow into the Gaza Strip. For his part, Guterres deplored the targeting of civilians in Gaza and reiterated that they should be protected. In this respect, he affirmed that attacking hospitals contradicts with the international law and also legitimacy. The UN chief also reiterated humanitarian aid should be allowed into Gaza. The meeting took place within the framework of joint coordination and efforts to de-escalate the violence and contain a humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip. And Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry met with the UK Secretary of State for Foreign Commonwealth and Development Affairs, James Cleverly, in Cairo. Shoukry stressed the necessity of pushing coordinated international efforts to urge conflicting parties to de-escalate violence in Gaza. The top diplomat underscored the importance of not targeting civilians, abiding by rules of international and humanitarian law, in addition to evading the extension of the cycle of violence and fighting into other areas in the region to protect regional and international peace and security. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry discussed with the Turkish counterpart Hakan Fidan on ongoing violence between Israeli and Palestinian sides on Thursday. Turkey has sent humanitarian aid aimed for besieged Gaza, which has been held up in Egypt, with the border being closed due to the ongoing fighting. And the WHO said on Thursday 5 trucks of medical supplies were ready at the border between Gaza and Egypt. The WHO welcomed Israel's announcement that it would not block the entry of aid into the Palestinian territory. The delivery of aid is set to be the first after Israel said it would impose a total blockade on the narrow Gaza Strip that is home to 2.3 million people, cutting electricity supplies and holding flows of flood and fuel. Meanwhile, machinery to repair roads has been sent through the Rafah border crossing from Egypt into the Gaza Strip in preparation for the delivery of some of the aid stockpiled in Sinai. US President Joe Biden said that it had been agreed for up to 20 trucks to pass through, with hopes for more trucks later. Diplomatic activity around the opening of the Rafah crossing has intensified. Students and teachers in schools held a minute of silence for the souls of the Palestinian brotherly people, expressing solidarity of Egyptian students with the Palestinian cause that was and will always be on top priority of the Egyptian state. Minister of Education Rida Ghezi said the ministry puts the Palestinian and restoring of the Palestinian people's rights on top of the awareness efforts that is offered to the students, adding that the ministry, as students and teachers stand side by side behind the political leadership in all decisions that it takes to protect Egyptian sovereignty and the legitimate rights of the Palestinian people. And at least 3,785 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip since Israel began bombarding it. Among those killed in the relentless Israeli strikes were 1,524 children and 1,000 women,